Not instant. The presentation one?
It was Steve's press release. Steve don't go for press release. And they read it.
All right, you're good to go when you're ready.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 6:08.
It's a whole time. Actually, yeah, yours is on.
Okay. So we're, help yourself to pizza, and I think we have a full house, which is really exciting. Emily, Kevin, Helen, Maria, Rihanna, Lynn, and we have a guest who's applying to be at the with the CAC.
Go ahead, close that door, because I can hear the voices.
Sure. And Julie, you're. Okay.
Leave it slightly ajar.
Okay.
Okay. Well, welcome. And any public comments from anyone? Okay. Okay. Modifications to the agenda. Well, I think we could probably, the comment on the review of zoning can go under old business C and oh. So there's two things that were zoning. One was the native plants and the other one was the solar. So I think we can fit those in.
Native plants would be under E.
E, right, E, okay. And the resolution would be under, yeah, G. And so does anyone else have any modifications to the agenda?
Strike number 4.
Strike number 4.
Yeah.
But we should decide when we want him to come back.
Oh, right. Yeah, just noting that Eli Duker couldn't attend today, so we had a family emergency.
I like the suggestion of coming back in January when we'll have like a full year, so we can do a comparison. That sounds like it would
Yeah.
be even better than having him come tonight.
That would be great. And it'll be before school starts again, so it'll probably be easier on him.
So do
Okay.
you want me to invite him to the January one?
Yeah, and it might be nice to invite the new urban forester next month.
That's a great idea.
I just spoke to him, he said he'd be happy to come, and he's right here at the tree commission meeting.
Okay, do you want me to invite him? Or do you-
Yes.
Okay.
What's his name?
Brent Nepper.
Brent?
Brent, B-R-E-N-T, Nepper, K-N-E-P-P-E-R.
Has he started already?
He started 3 months
Yes.
ago.
Oh, because I want to know exactly what, what, like this, like, I heard it didn't include maintaining the trees they're planting, so I'd love to know what he's doing.
Yeah, they got a lot of money, so I went to the meeting, so I can report some of it. Okay. So let me see, review and approval of the October monthly meeting minutes. There is one copy, or 2 copies around.
Oh, we don't think that's your order?
Yeah, but you could have
Oh,
got
yeah, we may have already done those. as you're looking at the minutes, I already incorporated Emily's changes, and I made a few other grammatical changes. And I think you guys should check to make sure we didn't miss word orders and the books grammar. The substantive issue is on the wetlands. It was like confusion on my end.
I got really confused, just in general, can you just say,
What I was confused over?
yeah, I just was trying to read it and
The
I,
code. I couldn't find the amended code. I found the old code and I found the rulemaking. I couldn't find the 11 criteria. And I spent forever looking for them, and Emily had them the whole time.
Yeah,
She
anyway,
sent me the link.
because like,
The-
document or something, I was.
no, so well, we can talk about for
Okay.
wetlands, but, for action on wetland preservation, but it was a whole new amendment to Article 24, and Kevin didn't have a good copy of it, and
No.
there's very special, there's 11 criteria
Mhm.
for
Unusual
unique,
importance.
unusual importance wetlands, and he was just trying to cite that. One of them is that it can be in an urban area that meets the census criteria of urban, which means, hopefully, if we meet that, then
We can protect our wetlands.
our wetlands can be protected. And so he was just trying to clarify what he should put in the minute.
And so these links that are in the minutes, those all are, what that is,
Mhm.
we're just clicking on it.
Yeah,
Amendments, here we go.
the amended one is
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
And it should be configured to be a PDF that you just click on it
Mhm.
and get.
I just clicked on it, I'm looking at it.
And the rulemaking may still be there too. I think I left that in.
Mhm.
Just in case anybody wants to look at that, because that comes online at the same time.
So this is a new state
Mhm.
law that they,
And some of it is not happening until 2028 or so, but
and the federal,
this is happening on January 1st, so it's really important for us. So we're just,
Mhm.
we're gonna keep an eye on it because we still haven't figured out exactly how they're gonna do all of this.
And the federal government can't rescind any of this, right?
That would be, I hope so, correct, yes. Who knows, yes. Okay, so how are we doing with the approval of the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the October CAC meeting.
I second that.
All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions?
Are you a member?
Oh, second.
Oh, okay.
We had one abstention because, I assume because she wasn't here.
Did you get that, Kevin?
All right, so we're gonna skip the special presentation. So old business is planning and land use. And we're just noting that the community presentation plan passed with over 60% of yes votes on November 5th.
And it goes into effect
December 15th.
December 15th.
Oh, my God.
So anyone who purchases that $1.25 million house,
That's what it's on the agenda right now. The Kingston Wilderness Parcel acquisition is the next agenda item. So,
Let me speak to it.
Yeah.
So the common council will be voting tonight on whether or not to approve the purchase of the Kingston Wilderness set of parcels, which total 70 acres. The city would be paying half. Sinicatsi got approval to pay the other half. So the total purchase price is about $880,000 for 70 acres. The closing will hopefully be in December. In the meantime, we're doing survey work and environmental investigations and title search. All this would be from one landowner, which is called Kingston Wilderness LLC, which is why we call it Kingston Wilderness. And it would become city property in perpetuity, and it would be parkland. It is almost all of the land between Rodney Street, which is just off of Wilbur Avenue, all the way to the city line. so along Beale Street. There are
Is it
some,
contiguous to Red Fox Ravine or is it on the other side of Wilbur?
the other side of the side.
Okay, all right, so up behind where that abandoned house is.
Yep,
or
and that abandoned
not
house is city property. And so that would likely be like the entrance into the park, because there's no parking. There are a handful of parcels that between there and the city line that are not being acquired. Some of them are owned by other, well, certainly there's a small neighborhood down there, and there's also a couple of others owned by an owner, landowner called Blue Water Cave. None of that is being purchased, just all the Kingston Wilderness properties. 7 parcels. And so they will vote tonight, and if that goes into effect, I mean, if that is a success, it will be the first parcel of land that goes into the community preservation fund if we have to pay ourselves into the community preservation fund. I don't know the answer to that yet. If the city pays itself. If that is the case, then we will.
Wait, so what do you mean, Julie? I mean,
So if the closing is after December 15th, the buyer, which would be the city, would need to pay 1.25% to the seller, Kingston Wilderness.
oh, I see what you're saying. Would you actually,
Unless we're.
would you actually have to pay into the fund?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. But either way,
I mean, it seems to me there should be some exception when it's going to be public land,
I would think so,
because it's
because we're
for
going
public
to,
land.
because we're going to be buying public land through the process, and it doesn't,
It
I
doesn't
would
make
guess
sense.
it would be exempt.
Right.
But I can't say that for certainty, so I don't know, for the record, I don't know. But
And
regardless,
who would determine that? The common council?
no, the state or the legislation itself, I don't know. I have to look, you don't know.
And the reimbursement thing, I don't know the answer to that either.
I will let you all know. Either way, the fund is December 15th. So starting December 15th, even if we don't have any of the mechanisms set up yet, which we won't, every sale over $376,500, every 1.25% of that, over that will go into a fund. And the county will send us a check once a month. And a community preservation fund advisory board, which is yet to be established, will review priority parcels, see how much money we have, make decisions, make recommendations to common council. Common council will approve or not, and then we'll move forward with that. And we are able to get interest on the money.
Right.
What is the biggest city park right now?
The largest city park,
Yeah, this will be 70 acres, like.
yes, the largest city park right now is Hasbrook Park, which is 45.
Okay, so
This will be the largest city park. The
Yeah.
largest park in the city is Sojourner Truth State Park.
Right, yeah,
The largest city park is Hasbrook. The second largest is Kingston Point.
okay. And
The third
there's
largest
a
is
plan to like
Forsyth.
do trails and everything through the space?
It hasn't been established yet. It would be possible that we would work with Scenic Hudson to put in a minimal amount of trails, but there's no amenities, no bathrooms, no restaurants, no parking, no real public land to get in from besides this one parcel on Rodney Street. So none of that has really been outlined yet.
How much of it is actually like on the ridge?
A lot.
A lot, okay.
So there are views up there? I mean,
I think that there would be seasonal views. There, to my knowledge, and I haven't walked every inch of the 70 acres, I don't think there's big like, whoa, view.
Yeah.
is the Kingston Land Trust involved at all with this or not really?
We're next door with the.
No, I know, you guys do Red Fox, so that's.
No.
No,
No, that too, but the Land of Black Hands, Mason Hill Farm,
Oh, that's actually adjacent to
that's
this.
we're neighbor.
Oh, I didn't realize that farm was back in there.
Yeah, physically.
Yeah, so you have a substantial preserved,
And how many acres is that, the Black Hands
it
Mountain?
was 53, but 13, only 40 are in the city, 13 are in Ulster.
And all of these parcels that we're buying are also not in the city, some are in Ulster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a contiguous landowner with Kingston Land Trust.
So,
They were not part of the acquisition or any of the negotiations.
Well, actually, we were approached at one point, but that didn't
Still
happen.
not part of the acquisition or the negotiations.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just want to kind of separate these two things. So Lynn and I also attended the press conference. Were you there? I can't remember.
No.
We attended the press conference, which was the day after
Right.
our last CAC meeting. Julie and Steve Noble were there, and Sam Cutson and the Land Trust, and everyone was there. That was really cool. And, but anyway, if you turn on, if you're on a Beale and you turn on Wilbur, then you would take a left up Rodney Street. And the city already owns, as Julie said, like 4 acres and a house that is probably not fixable. And they may plan on something, you know, who knows what that 4 acres is gonna do. And then the 70 acres. And tonight they're gonna vote on that. So should someone be there to talk about it?
My understanding is that Sina Cutson will be present and someone
Okay.
from the land trust will be present. I am not going to be present, nor would any,
Yeah.
nor do I have any city staff lined up to be present.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten any word that there's contention on it.
okay.
Yeah, and there were a couple of older people at the press conference. Michelle was there, and it was the other person, somebody else.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Terrell.
I mean, someone can, but
Okay, yeah, so, because I didn't realize it was coming up so fast, so that's great.
Mhm.
So then Julie also commented on the community preservation plan fund. And the fund is not funding, there's no money in the fund.
but we will be bonding for the Kingston Wilderness property, and the bond can be paid back with the fund.
Okay, because that's great. So,
This will be the first, if it goes through tonight, this will be the first purchase that we will be able to pay back with the Kingston, with the CPF.
so are they also paying a bond tonight?
They would be okaying a bond, that's.
Tonight, that's what it would be. So to purchase it and have a bond.
Because the other thing about the CPF that I learned in doing the press release is that you can also get grants. It qualifies you for state grants that you would
To
otherwise
leverage the
get.
funding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Lynn wrote a really great press release that we can still use for other things. And,
You can update it.
Marbletown, I couldn't understand, like, New Paltz really hasn't has not really been able to spend their money yet. But Marbletown, which only got approval last election day, they already bought, a park for $90,000.
A farm.
A farm that's gonna be a park or something, but the point is that this was Marble, they are kind of doing what Julie's saying, they are borrowing against future bond or something, that's how they were able to work that out, so, and anyway, the advisory committee in all these other towns, which I learned from all this research that Lynn did, they still do meet like once a month, and they do a lot of talking with, property owners and with land trusts and so on, so, yeah, it's a commitment if any of you want to be on it. Put your hand up for being on it, and there's very, specific people that are supposed to be on the committee, right?
Yeah, I don't have the prescription of that
Yeah.
in front of me, but.
Right, so that's awesome.
Yes, on
Um,
behalf of the city, thank you to all of you who personally put in a lot of work.
For the land trust, did an amazing job. I think that campaign to Michael. He was really on this.
Well,
I mean, he did most of the work.
I think all of you did some amazing work on this thing, so, yeah.
But just really quick,
That's
what I
pizza.
learned in talking to these other municipalities is that like nobody's against this thing. And even the people who have to pay for it said, well, we get it because it preserves the quality of life. I mean, thousands of acres have been preserved, mostly farmland, that doesn't really relate to us. But I think with development pressure and the need for more housing, which this does not cover, this is a way to balance.
And we're also very happy that we did wait an extra year to get it on the same ballot year as the presidential election, because that many more people turned out, and showing that even that many more people.
And the other thing I want to mention, in case that people don't know, because I did not think about this, is that the city, as you know well, Julie, already has a community preservation plan. So there's a plan all in place.
Yeah.
So the funding is the next step. It's not like there's nothing you're starting from ground zero, you have a clear plan.
Well, the fund can only fund parcels that haven't been identified in the plan. One begets the other.
Mhm.
How many people voted, do you know?
Yes, I told you that.
Yeah, it was exactly
7,000
something.
for 64%. And don't quote me on it, but I did put them. I had it.
Doesn't matter, I was just curious.
62% and 37%, they both had some fractions that equal 100.
Okay, great. So is the formation of the advisory committee, is that the mayor or the common council? Anyway, that'll be moving ahead.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so wood smoke, well, that was gonna be our major presentation. My job was to let the police chief know that there is a law, to remind his staff, and I didn't do it. So that's that. Is there anything else on this? I have not heard from any schools.
But meanwhile, the smoke is terrifying on Sunday.
I will
Yeah.
just note that, we did keep an eye on the gauge at the Andy Murphy Center over the course of the day on Sunday, and the highest number that it can hit, highest threshold it can hit is 300, and it hit 297.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we need rain. It's like
Yeah.
terrifying.
So
And just,
luckily, Eli will be able to have that in his grasp.
So that's the worst it's ever been. That was much worse than the smoke from the Canadian fires.
Yeah,
yeah,
for here, yeah, it was worse in the city than with the Canadian fires.
yeah, and so just to say that this weekend there are several fires, one at Greenwood Lake that was spreading north, and Peekamoos,
Mhm.
Oh, there was one in somewhere up in the Catskills too.
yeah,
Peekamoos.
Peekamoos is in
Sorry.
there.
See, when I took the train in to New York City on Friday, there was Palisades were fires. You could see it from the train.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and
There
then,
was, Prospect Park was on fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, there were 2 weeks.
Yeah.
but
Like a big fire.
It's not gonna-
Just like a little one.
and it's not gonna get any better.
I mean, just this weekend, even just the train coming through Saugerties was setting fires along the track.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's,
the West Camp, station had to respond to like little fires along the track. This one.
there should be some way to manage it.
Like send one of those little trucks with the shootout water thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, that's terrible.
Considering we have 35 trains that go through here every day.
I didn't, wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So I thought these were electric. I guess.
It must be just sparking off the wheels.
Sorry.
Yeah,
They're metal wheels on metal rails.
yeah,
Oh,
and it's
That's
so
what
dry.
the gravel is. Russia.
Yeah, that's a good outfit, that's what, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I saw a flyer this morning coming up on the train from New York. There
But
was one
in
at,
houses?
on Edgecombe Avenue in Harlem,
Right.
In the city.
near the high, you know where the high tower,
Yeah,
High Bridge Water Tower is, just below that,
wow.
between there and the Jamel Mansion.
I mean, I don't know what it's gonna
It
take.
was like,
Orange County.
I think they put it out.
We have one
Fire
in
was
Redmond.
out there.
At one of our properties.
Wow.
You had a fire
We had a fire at one of our parks.
in Dutchess?
No, in Redmond.
Oh, yeah, in Dutchess. Okay, zoning. Ulster County 7530 Renewable Energy Implementation Plan, the municipal renewable energy implementation plan. So, okay. So REIP stands for Renewable Energy Implementation Plan. Julie, do you have anything to?
Yeah, we're chugging along. Brad and Phil and I, who are primary authors of this, met again today. I keep saying we're 80% done or 90% done, but we keep thinking of more things we want to add to it, so it's become very robust, which is exciting, but it keeps taking us a little bit longer because we have to think of more things we want to add. It's probably 40 pages now. So I don't have anything to show you yet because we're not to that point yet, but we are absolutely in strong development of it. But this, what you have gone through with the zoning is going to be very helpful for me to plug into it also. So I can pick these up, by the way, these letters.
Yes, okay, so do you want to, so I just want to say, I ran into Phil and he said that he is looking at rooftops also?
Yep.
Oh, great. So what's Phil's last name?
Shuttle Green,
Okay, and he's your assistant?
he's the environmental specialist.
Mhm.
He took Ariel Gartenstein's position.
Great. So are we gonna talk about this then? So, what we have here is trying to, okay, this is the Soul Smart. This is the Soul Smart we're gonna look at. Does everyone have a copy?
Yes.
Yes.
It's one page, and I didn't mean to add Soul Smart down at the bottom, but anyway. That's the URL, that's a hot link in this letter. So we have been talking about this for a long time, and Soul Smart, we've been talking about this actually since last September, I think, because this designation came out. Soul Smart came and did a review of our zoning, and they found two places that were needed improvement. And those were the roof-mounted solar and the ground-mounted solar. And in this fall, the actual Kingston zoning working group has begun to meet, and their job is to look at changes in the farm-based code. So we decided that we would write a letter to that group. And I don't have everyone's name that's on that group, but Suzanne Cahill and Bartek are both part of that group, so I copied them. And they have their own email, so I would send it to their email. So basically, we're just saying, they actually give suggested language that could go into the form-based code. And so this email is just saying, this is what needs to be done, and, or this is why it's not. It needs improvement, and then there's suggested language in the actual review document. I need to put in, do I need to say enclosure?
You do also.
Yeah.
In the body on line 3 where it says Steve Noble signed it on August 2nd, he's on November 3rd.
Oh, that must have been a typo, because I looked right at the date. Okay. Okay, so, and then I didn't really understand about the renewable energy system, so I just said what I said, which is that the farm-based code thought it was great that we define large-scale renewable energy systems, but in fact, that's the only time it's ever mentioned. Large-scale renewable energy are only defined, they are not covered. And I just said, we're trying to come up with whether or not there should be any information on it.
And large scale would be, how do we define large scale? Commercial or
It's,
by size?
yeah, well, so the small scale is really like, one household
One
or so.
structure.
So a larger scale would be, it
A
says it's like
warehouse.
commercial, but the thing is that it's not defined the same as like the DEC would define it. And that's where I felt like we could, kind of raise this point, but then send another letter when we do a little bit more homework.
So the state has definitions regarding solar or?
Well, the issue is that there's two ways. One of them, if they're really big, which is 1,000 megawatts, it's in our minutes, actually. If it's really big, then it's actually organized by, it's regulated by a solar renewable energy, I don't even know what they call it, commission, agency.
But it's not
whatever.
regulated by the city,
It's not regulated by DEC.
Utility Energy Registry?
Pardon?
Is it the Utility Energy Registry?
I'd have to get my laptop.
Oh, here, very large system, 25 milliwatt. Permitted through the New York State Office of Renewable Energy.
Yeah. Right, and the office of renewable energy.
So what do we have to research for them?
Well, if there's like the really big ones and the small ones, where does the large one fit in? And would we need to provide standards? So,
And this is generally accepted definitions of what is considered a residential level, a commercial level, and a utility level.
yeah.
So the 25 milliwatt, that's utility level.
Megawatt.
Megawatt, sorry. That's utility level.
I don't know offhand.
So
I also don't know in our zoning how small and large compared to residential, commercial, and utility.
because like, let's say something like the YMCA, whatever, with solar on its roof, I didn't know it's a, that would be a large scale, right?
That would be commercial, whether or not.
That would be
large
commercial, but it probably wouldn't be large scale. Large scale is acres of land.
Okay, so if it were on the Y, that is addressed in our zoning. Commercial is addressed in the zoning, commercial solar.
As small scale. Yes. So I can bring it up. Sorry. Anyway, that's why I wanted to get this out. And if we could just take this last thing out, or this last part, so there's, let me just repeat, make it a little clearer. Two of the things that we basically need improvement are roof mounted solar height and ground mounted solar coverage of pervious surfaces, actually. So, are there any questions on that?
That makes sense.
So in other words, the ground mounted, meaning that if there's grass or a permeable surface, there's no stormwater issue, is that what that means?
Yeah, they basically say in it
It just
that the
absorbs the water.
Soul Smart says that there's enough water coming off that the water runs in underneath and still waters it. And
Right,
apparently, there's enough insulation, the sun is itself.
In there.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Also, the word review in paragraph 2, word 2 needs to be capitalized. If you're going to capitalize review for the whole thing.
Ron, I didn't hear what you said.
Paragraph 2, word 2, review needs to be capitalized if you want consistency in capitalization across the document.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Are all the other municipalities in Ulster County working on a similar kind of,
They're supposed to be.
they're supposed to be?
I can say
Is there a
with certainty
deadline?
that they're not.
It was.
It
like
was.
6 months ago.
So now it's sort of been extended to the end of the year. But from our perspective, we'd rather have a thorough, comprehensive, and well-done document than one with an arbitrary deadline, in my opinion.
and so what this is, again, just to remind myself, is this is
How the city is
Self-sufficiency?
how the city is going to achieve the CLCPA goals and the county's goals of hitting 70% renewable energy of electricity by 2030.
that we will provide through renewable sources such as solar.
And we can.
What-
That's our
Do you have any sense of what that's looking like at this point, Julie?
Yes. The reality is, there's extremes, right? We could cut down all forests and put in solar and we'd be able to cover it. We would never do that. And I'll state for the record that we would never do that. If it's just rooftop, we can't get it. Because we have to take into consideration not only the current demand, but also an escalated demand based on beneficial electrification that everyone is shifting towards. And so we're
Right.
adding 12%. And so spatially on roofs, we can't do it alone, and probably on roofs and carports, we probably still can't do it alone, just solar. So we are also included wind, geothermal, if there's geothermal electricity available, possible, hydro, battery storage, community solar, all these different options. And we're still, I can't tell you right now, we need this piece of this many of this many of this, and this many of this, but we are getting to that point.
And but also for that, this is a goal that is, I don't want to, it's like a reach goal that the county is doing. They're trying to say, how can we do it individually within our county? Which is not what, the state has never asked for that because they realize that there are larger not agriculture, I don't want to say that, but there's larger open areas that could probably bring in some of this large scale renewable or solar to kind of help with the deficits in more urban areas. But the county's asked us to do that.
And I'm sorry, 70% by when? 2030?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just a side note about that is, I don't know if anyone saw an article about big solar arrays on the ground. And if the panels are up high enough, they can actually put native plants, because that's a huge issue with the
Yeah.
environment. I mean, that's a little,
Yeah,
something they should look
and
at
right
too.
here in Ulster, right here down in Highland, they're doing studies on agrivoltaics with Cornell. So the former head of the Cornell Cooperative Extension, Jared Buono, went down to there's an ag research center right on 9W, and he's working on that. So I mean, there's other people working on it. He's looked all over the country.
Oh, wow, right here.
Yep. So I think, to go back to my letter, I think I'm gonna put in the definition of large scale and small scale. I do want to give ourselves credit for the fact that for the small scale, they're talking renewable energy system, which could be something besides solar. It could be wind, but, so some of that is difficult, but for the solar, they originally wanted to say that you could only cover 60% of your roof with solar, and we were like, why? Why not 100%? So they changed that, you can cover 100%. There is some, for ground mounted, there is a restriction of how much of your land you can cover. But anyway, I think for this letter, if you're okay with me sending it, then, or for us sending it out, I will put in the definition of large scale and small scale, so they understand what that is.
And one thing I just want to
But they
mention.
should know, because they're.
And one thing I just want to add about the discussion is that, a lot of this is whether this could actually happen, whether it's doable, is affordability. I mean, if a solar system costs $5,000, I put it on my roof in a second, but it's $20,000.
Yeah.
So this is a problem with electric cars, if things are going to be expensive, it's not going to happen. So I think that should be, the county's addressing that, of the affordable, creating.
I don't know,
credits.
do we have, does anyone
Because
have
everything is too
PACE?
expensive.
Do we have PACE or unbilled financing?
We do,
We do,
but I think fewer than 3
right,
times has it been used.
yeah. So there is a thing called PACE.
But it's only for commercial.
Oh, it's only for commercial?
Yeah.
Never mind. There is another thing called on-bill financing, and if you want to finance some energy improvements, you can just have a bigger energy bill till you pay it off. Through Centralize.
Property assessed clean energy.
Property assessed clean energy. I thought it was, so it's not for residential.
And the other part of this is like, conservation.
Yep.
The waste is unbelievable. It's just people have to use less. Of course, they're probably gonna be using more, but, like only putting the dryer on certain times. I mean, there's so much that can be done for conservation.
Is there any, yeah, that's great. Is there anything else for this letter, and is it okay if I send it?
Yeah, so you said you're gonna add defining large scale and small scale.
And I also wanted to say that I'm not actually sure why we're doing this, but I copied the climate smart on this so that they see what we're doing.
My only red flag is the line states, in addition, there may be a concern with renewable energy systems. Doesn't mean a lot to me.
Where's that?
Well, I couldn't find anywhere in the document that said, you didn't talk about large solar or large energy.
Yeah, but there may be a concern, whose concern? Like,
Oh.
was that
And
in
what is the
review,
concern?
or,
Right.
do we have a concern as a conservation?
Well, yeah, we do.
Like,
That's a good point.
So I think like, yeah, it's just passive voice there,
All right,
like
thank you.
what kind of concern? And do we or don't we, like we may have
Concern,
one?
so there was, yeah. The more needs to be done or something like that.
But that there isn't enough guidance on,
Mhm. Insufficient guidance, yes, actually none.
And then,
I beg your donation.
and then the CAC would come up with suggestions for what that
Yes.
language would be or standards.
Well, we could
would be.
boot it over to Climate Smart. Why are we working on this? Anyway,
Because
Well, over there, I was waiting on Brad to see what sites.
I know,
What
but
they're
I,
actually looking at, because when I looked at the solar mapping tool, it just looked like, gee, you had parking lots and rooftops, that was sort of it for the larger scale, or commercial. You really weren't, unless you wanted to take the new 70 acres and clear cut it. They did it-
Well,
They did that on the
they could
adjoining
do-
property of the town of Ulster, they cleared
Right.
that part of the Eddyville mine, they did this about.
they could do that, that's, so that's why we're doing this.
So you could mention the CAC is working in collaboration with Climate Smart and the city's sustainability office to
Okay.
identify possible large-scale potential siting
Okay,
options, more further, feasibility and studies need to be done, and we'll follow up with another letter.
okay. All right. So can we have a motion to have, so that I can put this in if we need a motion, and as suggested changes, with suggested changes?
so moved.
One second.
All right, if I have another piece of pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be.
Have some dinner. Gotta keep our sustainability coordinator
Sustained.
sustained. Okay, city plan review, anything on Kingston Organics?
Sure. So. Wrote it down on somebody's. How's that?
Oh, is this these random numbers? I was like, who wrote the, oh, okay, well, can we
I
switch?
wrote it down. I was gonna read it, it's like taking notes on it. Okay, so we have diverted 43.83 tons. We have 515 families and 957 people registered. Today, my office had a meeting with the Department of Public Works and the mayor to talk about phase two. We confirmed that phase two, which would be curbside, will not start until 2026 at the earliest. That we're going to do a big push to increase phase one folks' participation. And we discussed the specs of what kind of trucks I need to order, which is going to be happening now. It's likely going to take a year for the trucks to arrive, which is why we have to wait. We talked about what it would look like for phasing in commercial versus residential, and at this point have preliminarily said that we are going to do residential and commercial when we start at the same
Great.
time.
That's super.
Amazing.
And,
Yeah, because commercial's so much more.
and there will be limitations to quantities that commercial will be able to put out. But what else was substantial?
So and the city's gonna do that, they're not gonna bid it out to a private.
But I do have additional staff,
Mhm.
so they won't be in the budget until 26.
And the tonnage and the families?
43.83 tons,
Okay, yeah.
That's group.
And how many families?
515 families,
515, right, okay.
and 957 individuals.
Yeah.
So that's a tenth of the population about, less than.
Mm.
Okay, great. Anything else on organics?
No.
Yeah, are there any plans for providing any kind of compost bins or anything?
When
Back there?
we used to, no,
No.
okay.
But maybe is there anything we can do to help inform people? Because I see people, some people thinking that composting might be beyond their reach because they need to buy some expensive, ridiculous little thing that goes on their kitchen counter, which is just wrong,
Mhm.
right? I have a $5 plastic thing I keep in my fridge, and that, you know, it's,
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sending out, hopefully before the end of the year, because I have it already designed, EDDM mailer, every door direct mail is gonna get a mailer, that has the QR code for Kingston Organics, how to do it, and on the other side, a survey that's like, will you participate in phase two? How can we design it best?
Mhm.
Different things like that. And that will direct people to our website also. Hopefully that will help people to
Mhm.
understand.
Well, maybe we could have some pictures of people just
Oh, that's a
using
good idea.
standard things. You know,
Like a box in my yard.
but like even,
Yeah.
when I go by Voices, sometimes they have really nice ice cream containers that they just give out.
Yeah,
And,
coffee can.
yeah, I used to use a milk carton.
maybe, I know we have an almost non-existent budget, but it might be worth it. There are stickers, like, I always don't remember, like, what is recyclable or what is compostable and what isn't, and so I bought myself a sticker for like $3, which I just put right on the side of my compost bin, and it really helps.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Well, basically anything that's organic, right? That's vegetable or fruit or coffee grounds.
Yeah, but no,
Vegetative.
no, they take meat and shells, that's the
Oh.
big ones, yeah. That's why if you want to join just for that, yeah, they're taking more. So, but but don't you have literature for that kind of literature?
Can I interject really fast? It's totally unrelated. Is there anyone that could possibly give me a ride home? I'm not able to drive to that eye surgery.
Sure.
Yes,
I live,
She lives over.
in the northern part of the city.
Okay. No, all those are great ideas, so, maybe we could get a few pictures on that direct mail or
That's a
something
good,
that,
yeah, or
that shows just,
on Engage Kingston, I can take pictures of people or get pictures of people just don't understand that.
yeah, with that, that's nothing fancy.
Okay.
And I think people don't realize that sometimes it is nice to put in their freezer if they don't want to have it on their counter, if they have space.
Or just put it outside your door, that's what I do. I have a little thing with a lid, you know, like a little metal thing, right outside my door. So the bugs just stick it in, then bring it out to the back, the box. I
Yeah,
mean, anyone's with a yard.
yeah,
But it has to be tight because the raccoon.
yeah, the animals.
Except I don't think if it's vegetative.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
no, no.
no, the
Well, then I
animals.
have to have-
Good luck with that.
I've got a family of raccoons, I've got a family of raccoons in my backyard, I could not leave it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. They like my vegetables, so.
Yeah.
I just realized that we already talked about the community preservation plan, so we're okay with that. Kingston Business Park, anything?
There is an event tomorrow night.
I knew there was, I couldn't remember when it was.
It's the 13th, which is this tomorrow, from 6 to 7 PM. It's on Zoom and here at City Hall. And the consultants, Borough, Hathold, and company, will be presenting some preliminary findings. I got a preview of it, and have a lot of information in a short period of time, so come in an alert way.
I provided Bartek with a bunch of the ARPA. Apparently the DGEIS from the 90s went missing someplace, either here or in Garrigan Drive when it used to be down there. And,
You mean when they developed
this
this?
came up before, on something else with the Landmarks Commission. I inquired with Sue if she had a copy of it. And she looked and couldn't find it. She has the FGEIS published. That they have, and the survey maps and all that, and the sign offs by the planning board and all of that stuff, but they don't have the DGEIS. And reading the FGEIS without the DGEIS is sort of like, what are you reading?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And then there's all the appendices, so, yeah, I have all that scanned at this point. Somebody had given me the DG, it's like this thick, and, yeah.
So, I mean, would they need to do that again then, if anything gets built there?
Well, they have to go back to the findings from the,
From when they built the park?
yeah, and then see if a supplemental incapacitated might be needed, or we don't know, that's all speculative.
So you have all the material that the city didn't have?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. good
Oh,
for
so you have it?
yeah,
Oh,
That's great,
yeah, I believe it was Mauro Parisi's copy,
oh, wow.
great.
yeah. And it was marked up, and so I keep, every time I send people documents in this, I have to tell them, these are not my comments. These are from a
Right.
party that,
Great.
from years ago. It didn't come directly from Mauro Parisi, it came from somebody else down in Concocti that had it. So, but in any event, it's sitting there on Delaware Avenue. And it's scanned.
Great.
Great, good for you.
Okay, so tomorrow, 6 to 7, if you want to go,
Mhm.
and no pizza will be served. Okay, anything else on that?
I don't have anything else on that.
Okay, Midtown Thriving, I did attend the community meeting at Tilda's, I guess it was last week, and it was nice. We, they had a free meal, and then we had a roundtable discussion, and the main questions were about, what you would miss if it wasn't there in the Midtown area. And the Midtown area is not just Broadway, it goes on both sides. And, so there was a brainstorming session on that, and then, what would you like to see? Kind of same thing. So one of the examples was the laundromat, the big bubbles was really important to a lot of people. And, many other things, just whether it was, the Midtown Park, Linear Park, and various businesses and institutions, so.
And then this is the brownfield opportunity thing.
Yeah, so let me explain that. So they got money through the state to look at brownfield opportunities, so they know they know what areas are, what specific sites are contaminated or have been cleaned up, both, but beyond, and they're trying to redevelop that, they're trying to redevelop, trying to get buildings that are not being used, but they're there to move them to get used. But in the meantime, they're also kind of doing this, instead of just looking at these individual like empty lots or buildings, they're doing a much more like overall look at everything, to add the neighborhood, to enhance the neighborhood.
Because I went to the first meeting, there was something all about that. I thought that they only identified like one or two actual brownfield sites.
I wouldn't say that.
Because I remember people asking, do you have an inventory? They didn't. And then I remember people getting very defensive, like, well, we don't want this to be an excuse for gentrification.
Right.
The developer comes in, they get a tax break because it's a brownfield site.
Yeah,
It seems like that wasn't thrilling people.
yeah, gentrification is an issue, but,
Or developers coming in and getting breaks.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's the only way you get,
right, so you have to do the right kind of thing,
Cleanup.
obviously.
but some of this doesn't have to be done with cleanup. It can just be another ways incentivized. Like, I'm just gonna give you an example. Right down here next to City Hall, that building has not been used
Right.
And-
Which one, the one with the tattoo?
in 30 years almost.
You mean a really cool
That really
1850s building?
beautiful brick
Yeah, the house,
house.
Yeah.
the tattoo place.
Yeah.
But it's not anything, and it's almost never been anything.
Well, it sold a few years ago, right?
Well,
It was
just
tattoo-
last year, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, anyway, so maybe that's a bad example, but there's other examples of
But-
buildings that may not be
But what I'm
contaminated.
confused about is nothing with brownfields then. I thought this was
So
holding
maybe
big
that-
brownfields.
Well, that's
Getting
a
the
good
break.
thing, you can get more into it than just brownfields, you can.
Was there any mention of what might happen with that building that was supposed to be the food court?
No. Yes.
Yes,
Well, I heard something, but I can't remember where I heard it,
all right.
so
So this
I'm
is
not
more,
sure.
this is more just about
What did you
redevelopment.
hear?
I don't, well, I didn't hear it there.
Okay,
I heard that they decided they couldn't be there because they couldn't back a truck in, and I was like, what? Because, you know, like the Kingston market, their truck just pulls up in front and unloads
yeah.
right down the Broadway, and it happens all over, so I didn't think that.
No, I just, what I meant was, are there any plans for actually doing something with the damn place? Or is it just?
For that place at all, I don't know.
Who owns it? Who owns it? Not Buffett, right?
Perhaps.
Novo Fund?
No, actually, there could be plans for that site, but they didn't show any site plans or anything.
Okay.
So I think we should just need to keep following it. Yeah. Because, I mean, you know, it's just, it's not open space, it's the filling in, other, you know, but it's still quality of life here. I thought we should keep following that. Okay, native plantings.
Is there, one question with this, is there an actual BOA attached to these meetings? That was something like a brownfield opportunity area.
I thought
plan.
there was at that first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I think
and
that's
that
part of
serves
the,
as the secret
I
as
don't,
well. Well, typically it would, but
I think we can just re-engage Kingston and
I
fund.
am, but it's not really clear.
Okay, well, I don't know when the next meeting is, so what is your question? Will a BOA come out of it?
Yeah, that would be the equivalent of a secret review.
But we first have to identify the brownfield sites, obviously.
They're identified.
The way it reads is designation as a BOA by the state will give development, as if it's in the future tense, you know, where the BOA plan will set forth a clear community vision.
Yeah, that's what it is. I would say.
So they're just envisioning, there is no BOA at this point, the BOA will come later.
What's so clear to me? All I know is when I went to
Yeah,
that
the whole
meeting, that
process
people got
is-
kind of mad about it. They were like, why are we doing this?
Head has been spinning with this one for a while. I haven't quite-
All right.
I mean, this all was a grant, right? This was just a grant that we got, a state grant?
No, EPA.
No, it's a state grant.
I thought it was a state.
Started in
The
2018.
Department of State is funding this. It
So we're-
might, the EPA might be flowing into the state, but I'm pretty sure it's the Department of State. I'm not really good at these fine.
Engage Kingston says something different. Oh,
What's the reason?
here's the BOA grant for there it is, the DOS, through Patterns for Progress.
Yes, pattern or programs has
Okay.
the grant.
Then
By the way,
That's the
the
grant that
17th
you're
is the
talking about,
last
right?
date.
that's one grant. I'm not sure if the EPA is a separate, that's 238,000. It also references 200,000 that was the city of Kingston was selected in 2018. 200,000 for hazardous substances and 200,000 for petroleum assessments. So I
So
think you
that-
have
So
multiple-
that answers your
it
question.
sounds like you have multiple processes and funders involved.
So there is, if you're interested, there is two things. The survey is open until the 17th, and on November 16th, there is a walking tour starting at Tilda's at 9:30 and walking around town from 10 to 11:30. Today's the 12th, so that would be in 4 days.
This is on Engage Kingston, right?
That's 9:30 AM.
Coffee at 9:30 at Tilda's and the tour at 10. Yeah, and they're gonna walk around some of the area. All right. And, oh, and there's another public meeting, the survey results are gonna be on December 5th. So those are all the announcements for that. Native plantings and pollinator gardens, couple things before we get to spotted lanternfly. there is, this can be under announcements, but I'm just gonna announce that on Thursday night, over on Pine Grove in the Fuller Building, there's some chronograms putting on an event. That I already sent you, and you do have to register, but it's, gonna be on pollinators. You wanna go, and I think everything we can do to, keep, educating ourselves.
And I think they're going to have the pollinator pathway people, and when I talked about this at the last meeting, I got to a meeting at the Kingston Library with pollinator pathway, which is amazing. And it's an amazing resource. I was actually looking at the database that you can get on this link. The DEC actually has different kinds of plants and what the value is by pollinator, by types of bee. I mean, it's really technical, but which is drought resistant. I mean, it's just really amazing.
Yeah,
The amount of information made me think that maybe in the spring, we should try to leverage this somehow because it's incredible resource.
Yeah, I think we should have a sub.
And also, at Pollinator Pathway, as I mentioned, they said there is funding available for projects.
I think you're talking about the Hudson Valley, climate. I always get off.
Well, I mean, the woman who was
Yeah.
Pollinator Pathway might have been talking about
Yeah.
that. She
Yeah.
wasn't clear about how,
Yeah,
but there was funding.
There is
I was in Central Park last week. A lot of their meadows are now native plant. There's huge masses of them. And I thought maybe the city could do something if we got funding. Rather than have all these lawns, it's lower maintenance. I mean, you do have to do the planting, but if we had money, I thought we could have City Hall where there's lots of sunlight, we could put like a meadow in or something. If we got the funding, the money. Because I'm noticing in Central Park, they're doing that a lot.
okay.
So I mean, that would be an ideal project. That would be high visibility.
It's a great
The
idea.
city promoting it itself, just a thought.
No, it's great. Okay, and it's at 5:30. And it's, the 14th,
14th.
so tomorrow is,
Wednesday,
Is
Thursday.
Wednesday is Delaware Park, Thursday is the Fuller Building.
That's probably gonna be a really good event.
And then, and then the Tilda's
Is,
the 6th.
Saturday.
so that's Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday.
All right, great. Well, we could go to lots of things. All right, so then, so we have two things under this, the review of form-based code and the spotted lanternfly. So let's take the spotted lanternfly. Brianna did some work for us.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of basic overview research about the spotted lanternflies. I guess I didn't email it because most of it has like links and stuff that's just better to view like on the laptop that we can look at things. But I guess the biggest takeaways I got is that there is a map. And it's the NYSIPM interactive spotted lanternfly map, where you can actually see like how bad the infestation is, like state to state and also counties. And they're shaded, they're like color coded according to like how bad the infestation is.
How do we find the map, Brianna?
It is NYSIPM interactive spotted lanternfly map.
NYS?
IPM, and I found it on the Cornell Cooperative Extension site. They have a whole page about them.
It was in the email.
Oh, okay.
But what's the point of knowing how bad the infestations are?
Well, I think,
Like, you can start getting at your weapons.
well, I think people probably would just be curious to see how badly their area is affected by them, or maybe to see like their patterns of where they're kind of.
But it's not that bad here yet, right?
Well, let's see, in Ulster, it's really kind of like a yellowish. It's not as bad as other places, but it's not as great as other places either.
I liked the information that you had about how to get rid of the eggs. I
Yeah.
think that's what we need to propagate as much as possible.
Yeah, and also seeing like all the places that they can be hiding.
So Helen, you had them last year in your yard?
No, I hike a lot around. the
Oh,
mountains,
okay,
so-
because I haven't seen them in my garden yet.
Yeah,
I've-
yeah.
Already killed 35 in at my house,
Wow,
Oh, no.
right.
but I haven't found any egg masses yet. And I have grapes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wait, you're only. Did I do the wrong color?
Okay.
So purple is worse or yellow is worse?
Yellow, I think the closer you get to red is.
Yellow, purple means sighting reported, yellow means infestation present.
So we definitely.
But it's not, it could be one sighting. It's not.
Well, I think it would be able to see it.
It doesn't give you much of a clue, does it?
So the whole county is colored, but it could mean that it's only in one part of the county.
Yeah.
It's not like Lake Park County.
So I think with,
I think it would be good to make some sort of pamphlet or something.
Is there like a YouTube video of somebody actually getting rid of one of these eggs? I didn't have time.
Yeah,
I've seen that, yeah, like taking like a credit card or something like that. It's like
Jen also
scrubbing.
knows a lot about this, so I didn't want to.
I would, no, but I mean, it would be good to have somebody show you like
Yeah.
where to look, like in a video.
Mm.
Would be a really great way to be instructed on how to look for them and get rid of them.
The videos probably exist, but from what I've experienced, because I've worked with spotlight quite a lot,
Mhm.
they like to go into places that are kind of tucked away from like the
Right.
weather. So the undersides of branches and like the furrows of bark,
Right,
so under things,
Right.
tucked in things. They're hard to spot, and once you know what they look like, they're pretty easy to find,
Right.
but until you find your first one, it's really hard.
And yeah, and the thing, that's why it's so important that, I mean, even if they're in your car and then you go somewhere, that under your car, that's very scary, yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is a really good start, and then, I know we're not very good about getting education out, but if we can get something on our website and move forward on more of that, I mean,
Is there
this
any
would be
chance to
fine,
do
and
that
then
we can
starting
do
out
it
with
with
this
your mailings?
handout.
On the organics one,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably too much messaging.
maybe, I could ask Steve. It's just a thought, you know, since you're doing one anyway. Because I know it's expensive. Because we do not have a extensive email list or website traffic, so it's hard. I mean, that's maybe something to be discussed,
Yeah,
how to get more reach.
Yeah, it's possible. I could do one side spotter lantern fly, one
Yeah.
side sign up for Kingston Organics.
Why not? Yeah,
okay.
I mean, that, you know, I think that'd be great, but it's really up to you.
Yeah, okay. So, and then we could think about, you know, May is a very good time for the education for the Earth Day. Right? So you can
For
work
pollinators and
towards-
stuff, yeah,
Mhm.
for pollinators.
And for spotted
Well, they start hatching in,
Yeah, that'd be happy.
Yeah, that'd be
they're
great.
already hatching in May.
Yes,
So
but they're also really hard to find in their ticks, so it's actually not the best time for messaging, because you don't be able to find them for like 3 months. So July is a better time.
Thank you.
All right, so, yeah, if someone, now that we have all this good information, did you find any examples of actual handouts that we could copy?
No, it's mostly just,
You did a really good job of putting
Website.
that together.
Yeah.
And I think if you could edit that, and I'd be happy to help you.
okay.
Just
That
what
would be
you, what you found, I thought was extremely instructive and quite concise.
So yeah, we could put it into some sort of,
Yeah, like a one page, just something that would fit on one page of the mailer. If Julie says yes.
But no, if I mean, you can produce something that could go to a link to something, but my mailer is just going, if I'm putting out something on the mailer, it would be like, see spotted lantern fly, kill it, like.
Right, okay, and then we can
10
do a
words,
QR code, okay.
Pictures and a
great.
QR code.
What's your deadline for that?
I don't know.
Okay.
but soon.
So,
No,
no,
sooner
we'll do it
than later?
right away.
Sooner than later.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also ag and markets.
They have a lot of brochures and things that I think they're great,
Yeah.
both on the prevention and then also what to do once the infestation is established. I used a lot of their materials.
So which organization?
Ag
US.
markets.
US, right?
No, it's New
No.
York.
New York,
Ag
yes.
markets is
Ag
State
markets.
Department, yeah.
Right,
agriculture
because they're-
markets.
They're
Yeah.
affecting Woody.
Yeah, and I believe
Farm
USDA
fields.
also has a lot of materials,
Yeah.
but Ag markets is the lead agency in the state.
And I don't have it on this computer, but I did get some handouts about 3 years ago that may be dated by this point.
Yeah, it's probably the same ones that they've done.
And it's the same that there hasn't been,
Yeah, I don't think they've updated.
you know, when it first started, I think it was around 2020 or 2021.
All right, great. Let's keep working on that. So then the other thing would be that we were gonna try to look at this, the use of the letter I wrote about making sure that the standards are communicated on native planting and other things. Does everyone have a copy of that?
Yeah, I have those.
This landscaping, this.
Yeah, it's a 2-page and a half photographs. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I think it's great.
We'll need to CC the mayor.
I know, I realize that. And I have to run over there if you want to take a minute to read this stuff. Okay. Where is the comment policy?
First, what kills me about this is that, the expansion of the healthcare center, which I've mentioned before on Pine Street, which I think came in right before the form-based code. Sorry, Emily, I'm just mentioning, this is excellent, but you know, it's so ironic is that the expansion of the healthcare facility in Pine Street, you know, that, I brought it before. I mean, there's none of this, and it's enormous. It is a huge asphalt with no
Oh, yeah.
screening. Now, I heard that that was because it went in before the form-based code, but it's outrageous. There's no screening, there are bright lights in the building. There's a huge amount of, I mean, this is minuscule compared to that thing.
So, okay, wait, I want to make sure that you understand that we are using this as an example.
Yes.
And I, could come up with a bunch of other examples. I don't know
I just think, I think this is great. I think the language needs to be a little bit stronger, though.
Okay,
Right.
Because you're saying the form-based codes have language to encourage, and it's got stipulations, the
It
mandate.
stipulates, it
Yeah,
stipulates.
I mean, you know, and
Be more
we want to ensure that these standards and concerns are we want to make sure these standards are enforced.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, you're so lovely and gentle, I mean, bang, 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 I think.
okay.
And I wonder if we should ask, I mean, because we're using this as an example, but we know there are other examples out there, so we want to hear back about how many, like, this group needs to identify what are the other examples out there. We want to hear back from them.
Also, we're sending this to the Kingston Planning Board and Sue Cahill, but if they're not in charge of enforcement.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, that was my main question.
Yeah,
is whether these are the
Yes,
right-
Yeah, and Tanya mentioned at the meeting last time that they're the ones that they should require, for example, the written plan.
Mhm.
Right,
And these
but
were
But
the
this stuff has already
but
been completed.
the
it's
city of
like
Kingston
active.
Building Department is in charge of code enforcement.
But the point is, the planning board isn't even doing its job of insisting
Yeah.
when the.
But this needs to go
But it's-
beyond the planning board,
Yeah,
so it
but
goes to
that
planning
is,
board
it's two
and
things,
also, yeah.
planning board and then.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
just
you
saying,
know,
I think we need to also copy it to the building department.
It's
I
not a
agree.
building department issue.
Yeah, I mean, the building department,
They're not violating a building code, the building department code.
They're
The form-based
violating
code is a
the
building code.
the zoning.
it's landscaping, it's planning, right? It would be planning.
Planning is planning.
But I mean, they're the ones who are planning, who are approving projects under development.
Okay, but
Which
the
includes
point is,
landscaping.
whether or not they approve this, it has been done against, you know.
But
it's
they didn't do their
violates
job, what
form-based
we're
code.
saying is because.
No, I appreciate that, and they
And
need to
that's
be
why you're
encouraged to
doing
be
this,
more
right?
vigilant.
Right,
But
but
I
it has
also
to go
think-
beyond that.
Now we have this particular example where they finished, and it doesn't meet the form-based code.
And so the planning
Whose
board.
job is it to enforce that? Is it not?
Well, I don't think that's the point. The point is.
It has to be part
I
of the
believe so.
This letter will not be.
But I think it's the
Knowledge
planning
of
board
these
that
things.
Wait, just a minute. Okay, okay, there, first of all, one part of the zoning board, the form-based code specified that there are, I'm gonna say this wrong, small and large. They're different. If it's just a small project, then there is something called a desk level approval by the planning staff.
Right, no, I get that.
And they,
Okay,
and I think this with this particular site, but it doesn't matter, they need to do their job.
right.
That's really what we're saying.
Understood. But I just think while we're on the subject, we should
Mhm.
also be copying, because it's the same letter effectively, or could be, to the building department to
But-
make sure that they're enforcing the form-based code.
But I don't think they enforce this. I don't think there is an enforcer for landscaping.
Well, if
No, it's
that's the
not just
case, then
landlord.
we should be writing another letter to make sure there's an enforcement mechanism.
Yeah.
I mean, if there isn't, so, like, this example that is brought up, it's a really problematic example because it's not, we're past the planning, it's already completed.
Yeah, but
like,
they didn't do that.
Excuse me, please let me finish.
Yeah.
So, like, this, how is this gonna be fixed? And if there's no recourse for enforcement, then, like, what's the point of
Yeah.
doing all this? So,
So it's a good example of the planning board not doing their job, but it's also a good example of
it's like, how do you fix
a
it?
need for enforcement.
I think the planning board, it goes back to the planning board. The planning board has to go back and then go to the place and say, we need a written plan for your landscaping. They need to follow up. I think it's a follow-up issue. Because I don't think anyone enforces this, not the building department. Who would enforce it? The planning board, right now, I am doing I'm doing a thing that has to go to the planning board. Subdividing my property, right? They can say to me, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to put trees in. It's up to them to tell me what I have to do. to
Right,
get
of
their
course, but
approval.
once they didn't,
But then they didn't do their job.
And if they
The ones-
did it, like a lot of times, especially with like things like screening, they say, you must do this, and
And then they should.
And
follow
then
up.
the people go, but I don't want 4 feet of screening. People don't like 4 feet of screening, and they cut it down. And then it is almost never changed because you gotta
Because there's.
replant the bushes.
But it's the planning board that's supposed to follow up on that,
So wait just a
correct?
minute, there are two things I'm trying to say. There are for small, there is just a desk level approval that the planning board has nothing to do with. It's the planning staff. And then for larger things, there is the planning board. And so there's two levels. That's why it's going to both
Right,
the
yeah.
planning director and the planning board. And if we need to do more homework to get this right, then I suggest we wait till next time when, but I agree that we need to understand the enforcement, how it can be
Right, but I don't see
repaired.
any reason why you wouldn't send this to the planning people now.
Okay,
And maybe there's a separate letter about enforcement.
Yeah, I agree, like, yeah.
Yeah, let's,
That
I mean,
would-
I would bump up the language to make it a little stronger. But I think there's no reason to delay sending this.
Especially since it's just happened.
Right.
And would this be a project that was the staff or the board?
stay.
'Cause
And
it's
remember,
small.
this is
Yeah.
also kind of a learning curve. You have this big, huge document, and you have to,
But is this, as far as we know, is this the first project under the form-based code involving landscaping and a development?
no. There, I'm trying to think what some.
Because
of
I'm
the
looking
others
at
are.
others that are.
Mine just went blank. You can just look at the whole planning, board.
If I look at the planning board, minutes or something, it would tell
Yeah,
me.
the agenda, there's a whole thing
And the
about.
form-based code has been in effect for a year? Is that bad?
It was in 2023, I think, early
Yeah, we could
2024, it got backwards.
Is
Yeah.
effective since.
Because again, it's outrageous that that health center doesn't do any screening at all. It has an enormous asphalt with none of this. But I heard it was done before their new code, but it's still kind of outrageous.
But if you are saying that this is an example, you've also stated that you have more than one example in your brain.
I know, and I can even put those out. How about we
I think you
add
could mention them in passing, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to give more than one.
Yeah, as much factual information as possible.
Or you can't say this applies to other sites.
I mean, is there any site you know where they've actually done this?
that? Yes, but it's not on the top of my
Okay,
head.
yeah, I'm just wondering. I mean, where they have put in, said we need a written plan
Oh.
for your landscaping, and we want native plants, and you've done it.
Um, I can figure that out. Oops, sorry. Oops. Okay, so
Neighbors involved, that 365 wall.
there were a bunch of things because of
Yeah.
the sidewalks.
Yeah, the
I'm not
sidewalk.
talking about that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're not, I didn't plan to mention that because that was very
Right, okay,
specific.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do have photographs, so you can drive over there.
I have a big file on it.
They basically, they have 15, over 15 feet on the Wall Street side that is in the right of way that they are using. So, maybe Bluestone Court. No,
We can follow up.
yeah, okay. All right, so if we could get this out, I could use your help in editing it.
Would you like one of us to edit it? I mean, do you want somebody to take on that, and all of us to look at it, or how do you want to do that?
Well, I sent it to you in Word, so you can,
So we can each
yes.
send our edits to you?
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I wrote this. What else is happening?
But just Julie, just a question, going back to this enforcement issue. So,
You can ask me, I might not know the answer.
yeah, I'm just trying to think it through. So my understanding is, the planning board approves a development project or a renovation or whatever requires a permit, and then somebody, does anyone ever follow up on that, do you know, or it's just an honor system, you're supposed to follow the instructions, or?
I couldn't speak to that.
I guess really you'd have to ask Suzanne, right? That would be the question.
Right, I do not know.
If a violation occurs and Suzanne becomes aware of it, she refers it to building safety. So-
Okay,
Which goes back to what you said.
So an officer, this is in the form-based code, an officer appointed by the mayor of the city of Kingston to direct the building department and who is authorized to enforce provisions of the building code and zoning code.
So it would be the building department.
Well, it's somebody to direct the building department, so apparently the mayor is supposed to have appointed somebody to enforce this stuff and work with the building department. But good luck getting the building department to do anything.
Do you want that on tape?
I don't care.
Is-
Anyway, yeah, so
Wow, this is amazing. Those
I
are
mean,
pretty-
Is that worth a letter to the mayor or something? Because, that seems to me important that.
well, we're gonna copy the mayor in on this letter, right?
All right,
So I suggest that that the edit includes an inquiry about about enforcement, to specify who's in charge of enforcing this code.
If you go on the website, it says building safety and zoning enforcement, it used to say building safety and fire. Yeah, now it's building safety.
Is there a
and
zoning enforcement guy
There you go.
or woman?
There has been traditionally, I don't know who it is now.
Yeah, it's Eric Kitchen.
Oh, Eric, yeah, there it is, Eric, yeah, right,
So
Eric Kitchen?
yeah.
So would he be the person?
Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know, because it says on this thing in the form-based.
You
code
you
that
could
it's
speak to
mayor
Steve
appointed.
Knox if if you want to get, then he'll direct you to
Who's
Eric.
Who's Steve Knox?
He's the head of the building department.
Yeah, and he's also listed as zoning enforcement as well, so. Just Steve will direct you to Eric if it's Eric's, if it's in his, area.
So should we put that in the letter or should we do research and find out?
I don't see any harm in asking for clarification.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Like CC the building department on it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Is that,
Yeah.
just suggest.
And maybe
Yeah,
Eric
it would
Kitchener,
say-
and maybe Eric
It
Kitchener
wouldn't
too.
do anything, I would CC it to Stephen Knox and then, because.
Hmm. Okay. And make it stronger, add some other examples, and,
And she said, so you want a deadline, you want edits by, she said deadline.
Friday?
Okay.
All right, thank you on native plants. Anything more on that? Action on the wetland preservation. We pretty much talked about that from the minutes. Again, what I'm going to try to do and other people can do is I'm going to keep following what's happening. I'm going to contact someone at the DEC to verify what is actually going to happen on January 1st. And if they're, is the DEC doing this or do towns have to
This new,
ask them to protect their wetlands. That's all I have for that. All right, anything on that?
oh, that sounds good.
Um,
And sorry, are we finished with that?
Mhm.
On the lower Soda Stream Management Plan, I'm sorry, I meant to write to Amanda Lavelle at Otter County Council to ask about putting up a sign that indicates the Sandy Road put in from Washington Avenue. Do you remember
I
we
thought there
discussed
was
this in
one.
September?
I thought there was
I've
one.
never seen it. If it is, it's not a very good one. We discussed this in.
Yeah, right, thank you for reminding me
Yeah,
about that.
I'll do that.
Right. So we've been asked, Julie, you didn't bring, did you print out the resolution?
Nope,
Okay.
but I can put it up on the,
Yeah, okay, so we've been, the county is, the county planning department is, kind of the go-to person for the go-to agency for the lowest Esopus stream management plan. They were the people that were overseeing the contractors, that came up with the plan and with the implementation plan, the management plan and the implementation plan. And we commented on both of those. We sent letters in, and they have asked they've asked the municipality, the common council, to put in a resolution. And they sent a standard resolution, and then I edited it, and then I only got it done on Friday, and I sent it to Andrea, the alderman at large, and did not hear anything, and then I was wondering if I was supposed to send it to someone else. And the process, so the process, there's a process for the city of Kingston, and there are 7 municipalities. All the municipalities have been asked to put this letter in, and the reason, so the 7 municipalities are Olive, Hurley, Marbletown, Kingston, Ulster, Saugerties, Village, and Town. Those are the 7. And they're waiting on Kingston, Marbletown, and Ulster for us to put our letters in. And the idea is that the letters, this resolution will be used so that we can get additional funding. There is, $1 million or whatever it is, $2 million through the order on consent. But this is a project that will be going on for a long time, and they feel like that if this is to educate the municipalities, but also to have kind of this background of being able to say all the towns are approve of this, and, we want some extra funding for all the projects that have been named. There's a lot to work out with the various implementation projects, but one of them that they are already gonna do is to hire some kind of watershed coordinator, so that the whole, which you really need that in order to move this forward. So in the resolution, you've probably seen the resolutions where you put your city, there's but then they asked us to say something like the CAC has looked at this, and they definitely agree with very specific things. We don't need to do that, but I did do that. So Julie, if you can scroll.
okay, I seem to have lost it on my screen.
Oh, it's up there, but.
I know it's up there.
And then, I know when we talked, so anyway, so I put down, Kevin and I pretty much did the comments on this, and I just took the letters that we wrote and put in a list. I didn't put in the resolution list. Anyway,
You
so-
sent this to all tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really not in our hands, it's in the hands of the common council, but I will follow up, because if there's any kind of concern from the common council that it's like too complicated or something, we could we could work with them to take that out. And also I heard that Dennis Doyle would even come and speak on this.
Oh, wow.
So,
And you sent this to Andrea on the 9th, Saturday.
oh, yeah, and Monday was a holiday, and
All right, we're back.
So maybe.
Sorry.
so these are the list of things that we had specifically mentioned.
Great, yeah.
I didn't put anything in the LWRP because that wasn't in any of the implementation plans. Local water right revitalization program. So this is really, and then I talked to someone today and I said, well, the CAC could also put this through in adoption, and they said it wasn't really necessary, but we could do it. But it was more to communicate with the common council.
But the city of Kingston, the common council would have to approve the resolution.
Right,
See,
and
it's
that's what I
Kingston?
said.
Yeah,
No,
the city. the common council.
this one is for the city.
Right. You're saying we could do
We could
something in addition, or?
simultaneously do that, but I'm not positive that it's necessary. I mean, I heard today that it wasn't necessary.
But this is critical. Yeah,
This would be very important, yeah.
Julie, can you scroll down again, please? A little bit further. Yeah, so, the last resolved urges the state and federal agencies to provide funding for water quality and recreational resources, recognize the SMP. I wonder, like, similar to what we were talking about in the previous document, whether that's a strong enough verb. I think the whole effort is great, and this is what we need to say, but what we want is, we want them to do more than recognize, right? I mean, adhere to or utilize or.
Implement.
Implement. is good,
Implement.
yeah.
Yeah, because they do recognize it.
Right.
And so this wouldn't, if they said, yeah, sure, we recognize it, it doesn't lead to any.
It's a very UN term.
Yes. So
I like it, I like implement, something like
Implement
that,
sounds
yeah.
good to me.
So it urges those state and federal agencies that provide funding to water quality and recreational resources up. So the noun,
the verb.
the verb,
To.
yeah, the subject
implement.
is the state and federal agencies.
Yeah.
And the verb is recognize.
But the state and federal agencies aren't the ones that would be implementing.
Yeah,
So what's the point of the letter?
Urges the state to provide funding.
Oh, right, so states and
Yeah.
federal agencies have nothing to do with,
right.
or what is
They're
their
not gonna
connection
implement
to?
it. They're gonna provide funding so that we can do it, I think.
So
I
maybe
mean, I'm sure,
Recognize
I'm sure
somebody-
somebody worked out this wording a long time.
Would it be approved? I mean, they approve?
No, we don't want to ask for more approval from higher up.
No, I don't, and I am, do you know who authored this in the first place?
Yeah, there was, I think, I do, but I can't remember. There's a committee called the Water Quality Coordinating Committee, and it was suggested that in that committee, and I think one of the members took
Right.
it, and then the planning, and then.
And this is the insert
planning
city.
department.
Maybe this is, maybe it is appropriate to use the UN language because,
Yeah,
because these are
I mean, the whole thing
organizations.
is like a UN document anyway, so.
and by the way, this last thing where you're supposed to file it with all these people, I was like, well, what do you do with that? Like, if you're the city clerk, how do you know what that means? But someone said, don't worry about it.
The city clerk knows.
And that's who this also needs to do. That typically when you submit a communication, it needs to be sent to the president of the council and the clerk.
That's what I thought, so I screwed up on
That's okay, you still can send it
it.
to.
Okay, so
The
it's,
communications wouldn't be due until the Friday before the next Tuesday common council meeting. And the common council meeting is tonight, so
Right.
we're a month ahead of time.
yeah, why, yes.
Late.
Oh, and
What
they're
day-
meeting tonight because of election day?
Yeah, what day did you submit it?
I submitted on Saturday, so they only got it today.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah, so
they're
it's
either
not.
considering it late or very early.
Yes,
They're
Right.
probably considering it late.
okay.
But you can resubmit,
And then, yeah,
forward to the clerk to say for placement on next month's laws and rules.
laws and rules,
Consideration.
okay. And that was why I wanted to say that, I was doing this on a
Or it could be
Saturday.
public safety.
And you had said to me, would you be able to attend on November 20th? So I think you were sending to laws and rules, but isn't it really up to,
Public safety?
isn't it really up to
It's up to them.
them, so I could suggest?
It's common that we as staff suggest,
Okay,
but you can suggest.
it'd be easier if it was public safety, but,
But
so, huh?
Let's suggest public safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll resend and. Okay, so, I think we already talked about doing this, so there's no more action.
Right, there was a resolution already.
Yes, yeah. Okay. All right, so you know that that's happening. Oh my God, okay. I'm gonna start delegating some of this. Hudson River PCB, super fun. And this is about the lower Hudson or the upper Hudson? That's the next thing, right?
This is the thing that's been on here for months and months and months.
Oh, okay, so we decided that we would not,
It's also under Lower Hudson, under new business. Oh, shoot.
oh, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. So just FYI, Mayor Noble sent a letter about the cleanup on the upper Hudson. Okay, finally, membership review. I think this is, we had 3 applications right now, and Jen has said that she wants to be on the board. So I think this is when we go into executive session.
That's what I mean.
Sounds, something going on over there.
Yeah.
We're in town.
Do you want me to be done pausing the
Yes,
video?
yes.
Pausing the. I'm pausing. The YouTube.
Okay, while we're talking, we did send you on Jen's,
If I stop live streaming,
actually, I don't know.
I don't know how to do this.
I don't know if you can pause like a live, right? You have to like end it.
Can you mute it?
Just mute it.
Yes,
Let's do that.
okay. Going to, well, no, you need to enter, you need to vote to enter into executive session.
I propose we enter into executive session.
Second.
Okay,
Vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Are you gonna go get her?
I'm going here. The paper smoke has changed colour.
Okay. We decided, we made the decision to suggest to the mayor that you be appointed. You're appointed by the mayor.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for,
Yeah, thank you.
For your interest.
volunteering. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to hear you.
So, the process from here is that I will communicate this to the mayor, he will make a decision. If he decides yes, you will get a letter from his secretary saying that you've been appointed for a 2-year term and that you'll be directed to go sign the oath of office.
Yeah, so you do have to go to the, during working hours, you have to go to the city clerk and take an oath.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. But until that, this is a recommendation only.
Okay, all right. Oh, that was it. Okay, new business, PCBs in the Lower Hudson.
Who wanted to talk about that?
I had it on last month's agenda to add to this month's agenda. Didn't mean anything to me, but I wrote it on there.
So the mayor wrote a letter about the concern about pollution in the upper Hudson.
Of the cleanup of the Upper Hudson.
So one is necessary for the lower Hudson or?
Well, the entire Lower Hudson is a PCBs, is a Superfund site. And we did hear a presentation, or some of us attended a presentation about the issues with just like aerosolation and so on. And I guess we could ask someone to do some homework to see if there's any action in the Lower Hudson, and if not, then we can take it off the agenda. Does anyone want?
Yeah, I don't remember the context at all, but I always write add to next agenda or whatever, and so I
Yeah.
added it.
Yeah, so does anyone wanna, this would be like calling up Riverkeeper or Clearwater, or the, you know, the Friends of the Queen Hudson and see,
So I could do that, it would be done at the next meeting?
yeah.
All right,
and then
plenty
we
of
could
time.
just report. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Who was the other, Riverkeeper, who was the second?
Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson, or Clearwater, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's, if you recall the letter we sent, there was a
Which I
draft
think-
letter for the Upper Hudson,
Yeah, I
and it's
think I
the
see
Friends
it.
of Queen Hudson, Folk, FOCH. So any of those people could probably, any of those groups, like Jen, Benson. Anyway,
Okay, I'll follow up.
And who would this be addressed to?
one of the members of Folk.
Okay.
I mean, she's just gonna call around and find an answer.
I'm gonna find out where the status is, what the concerns are, what we as a CAC should do.
But yeah, which
Or as a city, is there
Yeah.
something, some action or letter that we should do? That's what I'm gonna
or
ask.
we should just be following it.
Mhm.
Okay, open issue discussion. There's two things. One, I noticed today when I was looking at the Climate Smart Kingston, that they actually have a little thing that says, sign up to get their little newsletter. Did they ever send out any newsletters? It's on the website.
Oh, yeah, people register all the time. I have like hundreds of people on the distribution list.
So why can we have one of those?
Yes? Yeah. You want to have a CAC distribution list, that's fine.
Yeah,
People want to sign up to learn about CAC stuff.
yeah,
Do that.
awesome. Okay.
Great.
All right, and then the other thing, I was wondering if you would be interested in some kind of retreat to think about moving forward, if there's things we really want to work on or how we can accomplish things. We did have a retreat a while ago, quite a while ago.
Meeting like,
Well, a
a
retreat
long
is-
meeting or an afternoon or a day or something?
Yeah, it would be like an afternoon, or it could be 2 afternoons or 2. I mean, I remember we had it outside at someone's house, so, at Julie's house, so, yeah, so, yeah, it was a lot.
Susan and Arthur were, right then, that was a long time.
At my current house?
Yeah,
Orange Hill?
I didn't know, yeah, no, your current house. So anyway, so.
Was I there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about a retreat is you can, you know, you don't have to take minutes, it's all, you have some time to think about what, yeah, we could just plan it and we could plan it for, I mean, there's different places we could have it and we could have it in the winter or the summer, or the spring, but I just thought it might be a nice time to, you know, think about more about using everyone's skills and figuring out whatever, you know, if there's something we can really move ahead on with, whether it's, native plantings or, you know, getting word out about spotted lantern flying, that kind of stuff, so. Or whatever you guys are interested in that falls within our.
So you did this before with.
A long time ago,
obviously.
I have no recollection of this whatsoever. Were we drinking wine?
I guess Julie, you were obviously.
No, we weren't.
I don't know.
The one I'm thinking of was about 10 years ago, Susan Harrith and Arthur Zakowitz were on the CAC then.
That's.
And I had you to my house and we weren't drinking wine?
It was in the afternoon.
You were drinking. You were drinking more than wine.
Did I have a kid there? This is pretty bad.
No,
No kid yet?
No, I Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
anyway,
Zero
I mean, we've done it before with the CAC.
Anyway, I'm having
Yeah.
a host at my house again, but this time their kid may or may not be wine.
Sounds good. Here, we could have at my house, or we could, you know, get the building at Hasbrook Park
Oh, yeah.
or something like that.
If you want to use a
So,
city building, I can make it happen.
Yeah. So anyway, do you guys want to try to make a decision tonight? Think about it like in a month or after, no, I would say in January. Definitely wouldn't do anything before January.
I'll just say, like, I know we're all very busy, and I would be interested in participating in something like that if we know what we're going to do it for.
Yeah, that's why we really
cannot
have to
set
plan.
aside time and be like, okay, we're gonna just sort of discuss what we might be able to do or what our skills are.
Yeah.
That's
No, we
not-
did, I think we definitely need to do some homework to get there.
Okay,
Yeah, and that would be, you know, there's a lot of time that would go into the planning. of it.
yeah,
And have goals, you know, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this, so it's not just
Yeah.
wishy-washy, nothing gets done.
Okay, all right, so then, does anyone want to help with that?
Well, maybe we should each just think about, maybe we should just each give feedback on that,
maybe we should set some time aside on the next,
meeting.
at our next meeting agenda to sort of talk through that.
That's a great idea, okay. All right, yeah, because I started thinking about that. All right, how are we doing?
Oh, my God.
Okay, we have, are there any more communications?
No.
All right, announcements and events. I already made the announcements for all the events this week.
Announcements and events, yeah, Melissa Shedda had sent, thing about battery storage, it's gonna be in White Plains, I think Julie's gonna be going, maybe. She's registered, I don't know that I can, because I have the Land Trust Alliance deadline that day for accreditation.
So I didn't get that from Melissa, is that,
No, it's sitting somewhere in my drawing.
is it,
Registration ended on Friday, so.
is it a large battery storage? Like,
Yes.
okay, cool, right. Okay, complete streets, no one's going, no one's following that.
When do they meet, you know?
Where or what?
When, what, I mean, I can look at me,
Here, in this room.
Okay.
I mean, but once a month they meet?
Yeah, once a month. Usually, I think it's tomorrow, it's usually the second Wednesday.
Yeah, that's not good for me.
It's in the middle of the afternoon, so.
Kind of a pain, right?
Yeah, it is.
And so Helen, you were going to the meeting?
There's a meeting tomorrow,
And did you find it valuable or?
4 to 5:30.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly interesting, I mean, particularly with the tree issue,
Oh, right, right.
so it would be nice to.
Yeah, the problem is Wednesday's not good for me, otherwise I would offer to do it.
It's 4 to 5:30 on the second Wednesday.
Okay. All right, well, and they also record their meetings.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna sit and look through the,
You could look through the
yeah, but
recordings.
then of course you can't make any comments. But we're only there, we would only be there as a representative.
Right, well, because see, I have something at 5:30, I need to leave at 5. So, I mean, I can only go for an hour,
Right.
and they might mention to me that I'm gone.
I guess you don't have to go in person.
That's
It would
true.
be at your house.
Yeah, but Helen made the point that you can't do any feedback, you can't.
Oh, right.
I mean, you can make
Sorry.
comments.
I can like look at the
Okay.
recording and then the next,
I'll see what I can do
Yeah.
about going tomorrow.
just Wednesday's like the worst time.
If I can't go tomorrow, I can do something else. Wait. Okay,
Pretty soon.
okay. And then, yeah, so we can just keep working on that and understand what they're working on. Okay, public safety, I didn't go. Why didn't I go? Oh. I was out of town, I couldn't go. Clements, but, yeah, Clements Park, Kingston.
Let's see, we finally got the letters drafted with, from Roberto on the green hydrogen. And I don't know, do you know what the status of that is? We
To be,
sending them?
no, we aren't
No.
doing the letters themselves. I think I was going to invite someone from Proton to attend our next
Oh,
meeting.
all right, okay, all right. Okay. And we were also, I think the other significant issue we were discussing, where we had this, Julie gave the sustainability report of various projects, including the waterfront, North Street, raise grants, and then we're also discussed the TENS project, geothermal. I think we have a session on that tomorrow on Zoom.
And we got an overview of the battery electric storage system code from one of
From
our,
Emily.
Emily Chesson, who works for NYSERDA.
Yeah, yeah, she's
She
a
gave
board
us a little
member
primer on
as
battery
well as a
storage.
next other person. So yeah, that was very informative.
Show you a video of the lithium farm. It's so dangerous. These battery storage sites are.
And the Fall Energy Expo was discussed. That came and went though. It's the 9th.
So, I mean, the battery storage is just about the capacity of battery storage? I mean, is it related to any project or site or anything in Kingston?
The primer that Emily, our colleague, gave us was more about the state's goals and funding that's been set aside for establishing large battery storage sites. She didn't go into like, this is what battery storage is, how does battery storage work, these are,
Does any state have these yet?
oh, yeah,
Oh, okay.
including ours,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. So there are complications with it, there's complications with every technology, and this is definitely something that's happening, so.
So Helen, you're saying it'll be dangerous?
I just, I come from a family of engineers, I don't like large lithium batteries very much. Because if they catch on fire, you can't put them out. They burn until they stop. Which is not great, but yes, you're right, it's a problem with technology.
Emily's presentation went into some, fair amount of technical detail. I don't know how much people want to go into that right now. It's a long paragraph.
You could watch the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's okay.
We will. No, but, no, it's good because it's
I
so
mean, we're
important.
talking storage orders,
Yeah, I just wanted
the
to-
independent system operator, I mean, the stuff
Yeah, I
like
just
these
wanted-
definitions.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's more about knowing that we're moving ahead on kind of alternative ways to meet power at night and so on, when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. So,
she discussed funding as well, and some of that gets pretty lost in the weeds, index storage credits. Similar to the residential energy credit, so it sounds like it's, what's an index storage credit? Well, similar to the residential energy credit, but different. You know, there'll be some, you know, the fine print, there'll be some differentiations.
All right, thank you. Is there anything more on Climate Smart?
Not just that this month's meeting has been changed to the 20th. December's meeting has been changed to some other date that I will tell you in December.
20th or the 21st?
Yeah.
I thought we were doing it Thursday.
Oh, it's next Thursday, the 21st, you're right.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you.
21st.
Okay, yeah, we're getting late here, so,
Okay.
the,
NICEAG, just quickly, every planning's going fine, we're still a year out, so there's not, I don't even know if I should just keep reporting on this every time, but our next planning meeting is on the 20th, that's where I got the 20th from, at 3:30.
yeah, but there are couple things we could tell them. One, there was a decision on the date, I'm not sure we talked about that, so it's. Okay.
It's October 17th.
Yeah, right, because I mentioned, okay, but then the other thing is that we've been asked to ask our CACs about ideas for field trips. And also, but I think we can ask you about topics for speakers, you know, topics that you want to see covered. So, I guess that's, you probably would have to think about it more. So I'm just gonna say that we have been asked you we've been asked. The idea about a field trip is that there's full day talks on Friday where you'd have to take the day off. And then Saturday, there would be one field trip that might go a long way away and just do the whole thing, or it could be, you know, 2 half-day field trips, you know, where you go to a couple of places, whatever. So it could be a variety of things with the idea that, you know, could be something that you're going to learn about, not just like a fun activity. So you would learn something innovative in Ulster County, or pretty much we're sticking to Ulster County, right? Yeah. Okay, so think about that, because, you know, it could be going to other urban farms. So, all right, so then the Ulster County Environmental Management Council, I did have a couple things. One was that our next meeting is December 4th, because we combine our November and December meetings into one. And we had a nice talk from the head of the Wallkill Valley Land Trust, so we learned, you know, all the work that they do, and including the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. That was really good. And then Jen gave a talk on the spotted lanternfly, which I think was really appreciated. And then we also found out that our head of the Environmental Management Council, Dave Haldeman, is definitely stepping down in January, so we need a new leader. And then Gardner has been concerned about flushable wipes and that are not flushable, and they know that it's really screwing up their sewage treatment plant. And I haven't heard anything from the Kingston sewage treatment plant, but I know it's pretty much a nationwide issue. So the thing is like if you buy a baby wipe or something to wash your face with or whatever, they'll say flushable, but they're not. They don't disintegrate.
All that means is like, it won't clog a toilet.
Yeah, right.
Right, but it'll clog the
It'll
sewage.
plug
Right.
this, it'll plug the
Right.
system up. That's what-
Yeah, so there's, apparently now they've asked us whether or not we want to go in on a campaign, but also there's a Senate and Assembly bill. I And I sent you that right at the end, and I didn't bring the bills up. So that again would be like us doing something or asking our towns to do it. So
A
does it,
bill that would change.
it would say that they
advertise it
can't
much
advertise it.
That totally makes sense.
Good.
So does anyone want to investigate that and come up with a letter of support? Not right
Now,
now.
no one else will know that I'm doing the PCB thing. I'll do those two things.
There's no rush, I don't think. Because,
What's the
well,
bill?
because they don't really start voting.
I'm sorry, so what would the letter be about? Because these are, a lot of these are like national companies, right? And they're, so we don't have control over whether they're broadcasting their product on an Albany station that people see here, or what would the,
It's a state law that the state is trying to basically say
oh, so
they
in
have to
support
have
of
a
this.
DEC stamp of approval to sell them, to put that on the
Put
package.
flushable.
So the first thing is,
Oh, I
the
see.
first thing is find out what is the bill.
They want to sell it on New York.
Right. And then
Yeah.
assuming
No,
that
it's
it's
not a
something we
local thing,
support,
yeah.
then, but we need to know what the bill is, right?
Right.
Um,
And so,
There was no attachment to what you sent.
I didn't attach it. There was just a postcard thing with a bunch of QR codes. Okay,
It didn't come through on mine.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So you'll send that, Emily, and then I'll follow up
Yeah.
by your next meeting on just what
Oh,
the
yeah,
bill is.
but yes, and you can even wait till January because usually there's no votes in the state.
So I'll
until
write
they go
down,
into-
deadline would be our January meeting.
Yeah. I'll send you some stuff then. I'll try to do that. Okay, and then I did go to the tree commission for a while today, and I was really, it was so nice to have the urban forester there, because then he's doing all this great work as opposed to some volunteers.
Yeah,
And
Right.
and so I did learn a couple things. So first of all, his name is Brent. Yep. And they have funding for, I'm trying to find, I got their agenda. So they have three sources of funding. They have just the regular budget from the taxes. And then they have a DEC and a USDA grant, and both of them are for 4 years. The DEC one is like $250,000, but it's not for 1 year, it's like for 4. So it's paying for him and for taking care of trees. And even like she mentioned that they've never been able to like do an adequate street tree pit. Because when you have tree pits, you really have to like put some really good soil in and make sure it's big enough and all of that. And their funding's gonna allow that. And he, first of all, he reported on which trees, like there were 14 trees planted in October, which isn't a lot, but 2 of them were residential, the rest were on city lands. And making sure, they were making sure they were getting watered. And there are also going to be some removal of trees during, definitely trees that just have to go because they're dead. There's some trees that are just the trunk that they never just cut off, and things like that. But then he also said that while he's been out walking around and talking to people, he's realized that there's a lot of people that are enthusiastic citizens that want to be involved as stewards. And they can do things like watering and planting and maybe learn how to prune and stuff like that.
So does he oversee the watering of all the trees the city plants? Because that's a big problem.
I know, I don't know.
He does not. He didn't
No,
talk
he's
about
not.
that?
He's not overseeing.
Because that, as I've brought up many, many times,
Yes.
I mean, we need to, especially with the drought.
Yeah,
I mean-
he's definitely going back to the specific trees, but Julie's gonna invite him to come.
Great. So we can talk to
The
him.
meeting, yeah, and then they also talk about, they spend a lot of times on whether or not they can give permit, they're gonna give permission for people to cut down trees, prune them, and so on, and that's.
Isn't that the tree commission that does
That's
that?
the tree commission, yeah, I'm reporting on the tree commission, yeah. So,
Because
but
I,
now he's, he's at all those meetings and he's reporting on. So that's all I have.
Great, I move we adjourn. Can we confirm if we got a quorum for the December 10th meeting?
December 10th. Should be there.
On that.
So I figured out everyone else had it.
December 10th.
All right,
I move we adjourn.
okay, second, all in favor?
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. You're welcome. Kevin, do you want to ride?
that might be, not getting